Bitcoin represents the most secure system. Systems that are based upon human intellect, right, can be cracked by the AIs. The AIs will crack all of the things that are based upon proof of humanity because they're more human than you are, right? In order to actually secure the system, it's got to be defended by raw power.
By energy.
Bitcoin is unstoppable.
Represents the most
Here comes
secure
Michael
system.
Saylor to come and explain why. If you like Bitcoin,
Systems
you need
that
to
are
watch
based
this to the
upon,
end.
They can't fake energy.
And you could think of a Bitcoin miner, like if you use the offensive term, you could say it's a machine gun in cyberspace, but I know that triggers all of the maxis, right, and all the libertarians who don't like the idea it's an offensive weapon. So a better articulation of it is it's a defense system. It's the cybernetic fence. It's the wall in cyberspace that you can hide behind or you can stand behind, right? It's a cyber dome, right? It's not a system to inflict destruction and death and mayhem on your enemy. It's a system to defend your own cyberspace.
Perfectly preserve information in a force field or something like that it can't be rewritten.
If I have 100 million identities and I want to protect the identities, if I have 100 million documents and I want to protect the documents, if I have 100 million systems and I want to protect access to the systems, it's a cyber defense system. Once upon a time, there's an Iron Dome. The idea is it's a missile defense system. It shoots things down that are coming at you. It's anti-aircraft system. So if you think of Bitcoin as a cyber defense system, that's really critical because you recall, in our previous series, we talked about what made America great, and superhero theory, right? And I said, superhero theory is you want to be indestructible, invincible.
Right.
If you're invincible, you can figure out the rest of the stuff. You don't have to be the fastest, the most beautiful. You don't need the electric lightning bolt shooting out of your fingertips. You don't need all the cool magic. You just need to be invincible because you're invincible. You can just, strap an atomic bomb on your waist, walk into the building, leisurely, have a cup of coffee and set off the bomb and then walk out of the city, right? You're going to win. And every other idea everybody has is not going to work. So invincibility is the ultimate superpower. If you combine it with immortality, right? The big eyes, invincible, indestructible, immortal, right? That's the thing. Everything else you can learn or you can strap on.
Positioning Bitcoin as a
Human
cyber
intellect,
defense system completely reframes
can
its
be
potential.
cracked by the AIs.
It's no longer just about currency.
The AIs will
It's a
crack
shield that
all
guards
of
the
things
digital
that are based
infrastructure of
upon
identities,
proof of
data,
humanity
and
because
access,
they're more human
ensuring
than
they
you are.
remain untouchable.
Right?
Right.
And Bitcoin represents invincible, immortal. And in America's big advantage was hiding behind 3,000 miles of the Atlantic Ocean and hiding behind 6,000 miles of the Pacific Ocean with a tundra to the north and with a desert to the south. And that meant that you could have an army of 250,000 men, fully armed in France. You're not going to be able to deliver more than 5% of that force to the U.S. It's going to take you 3 months, and then they're probably going to starve to death, as they try to live off the land.
Right.
And a third of them are going to die of disease. And so the ability for you to punch is, you're ameliorated, your force is attenuated by a factor of 50 when you're trying to work from that distance. Right? The deciding battles on the American frontier were fought by 2,500 people, or 800, thousands, tens of thousands, right? And so America always had the luxury in World War I, World War II, et cetera, of being able to manufacture infinite munitions, shuffle everything around and ship it somewhere else and then drop the bombs on somebody else.
Yeah.
And in Poland, they never had that luxury, you know. In Russia, they didn't have that luxury. And it's a pretty big deal, that distance. And the same holds true in cyberspace. If you are going to fight a cyber war, the first thing that has to happen is all your iPhones can't go blank on the first day of the war, you know? And all your systems can't stop working. But there's something worse than all your systems stop working. It's all your systems start working against you. That's autoimmune disease.
Right.
It's like when your body attacks you. And we've seen that, you know. You see it physically and you see it politically. You know, if someone manages to plant a mole in the middle of your system and they just simply turn all the weapons on their own population. And so that cyber defense mechanism has to be based on some cryptographically secure digital energy system. And if I look at all the systems, right, the only one that's truly, you know, acknowledged to be successful and secure is Bitcoin.
Yeah, nobody.
This analogy drives home why
In order
Bitcoin
to
is
actually
unmatched.
secure the
Its
system,
cryptographic
it's got to be
defenses
defended
make
by
it invulnerable
raw power.
to systemic sabotage,
Right.
much like America's vast oceans
and you could think of a
protected it
Bitcoin
from foreign
miner, like
invasions.
if you use the
In a
offensive
world where
term,
digital
yeah,
systems are
you could say it's a
weaponized,
machine gun in
Bitcoin offers an
cyberspace, but I know
unyielding
that,
line of
that
defense.
triggers all of the
Prefers the second best in security.
I can't.
So that's why there's no second best.
I would like to name the second best, but I cannot. I can name no second best, right? I'm like 350. If you're going to compare cybersecurity systems, you have to ask the question: how much energy will it take to break it? Okay, well, I mean, if you take all the big tech companies and all the big banks, I actually think simply compromising anywhere from 1 to 10 people breaks it. You know, if I flip half of the board of directors or 2 or 3 of the officers, I broke it. Right? And at some point, you can always trace these things down to all I got to do is compromise or spoof or phish some number of 2 dozen people. And, you know, if you have those 2 dozen people, you want to keep their identities quite private. There's a lot of ways to get to them, right? You can blackmail them, you can issue a court order, you can put them in jail. It's like you could say, well, I'm not going to be coerced. Well, if you're in jail and the government orders you, you will be coerced, because the argument is, well, the person that you're supposed to, the thing you're supposed to do is in the interest of the state. But the problem is every single country has their own state, and they think the other states in their interest. So everybody's being coerced by everybody all the time, right? And that's just if they do it, legally. They can also do it politically, but they can also do it in a criminal fashion, right? And you can just do it in a corrupted fashion, or you can just be incompetent. A lot of ways to compromise those systems. So you don't really want a cyber system that's based upon human virtue, right? You have to assume that at some point the human in the loop will fail. And if you dismiss all those ideas, just imagine how will the people in your family react when they get a video call from you in your voice that looks like you, that just, urgently needs something.
How can
right?
any system
The big
reliant on
eyes,
human virtue or judgment
invincible,
claim to be truly secure?
Indestructible, immortal,
Whether it's coercion,
right?
blackmail, or simple incompetence,
That's the thing.
every centralized
Everything
system
else you
eventually
can
falls
learn
to
or you
human
can
error or
strap on.
manipulation.
Right.
Bitcoin's
And
brilliance
Bitcoin
lies in its complete
represents
removal of the
invincible
human
immortal.
factor, creating a decentralized
in
fortress
America,
that no individual or group can compromise.
America's big
Isn't
advantage
this the
was
only way
hiding
to
behind
guarantee trust in
3,000
a world
miles of
full
the
of
Atlantic
vulnerabilities?
Ocean because your iPhone was stolen.
Right.
Or maybe it's from your iPhone. What are they going to do if it's you calling from your iPhone on a video call to make a request? You don't think that they're going to actually believe you?
Right.
Right? I think it ought to be disturbing. So Now we come to the issue of a true digital power network. Bitcoin secured by digital power. It's energy over time. Exahash is that measure of power. It is a hash rate, right? A hash rate, and the only way to generate the hash is analog energy converted to electricity combined with computing capability, computing power, in the form of how fast can you generate a SHA-256 hash, right? Those two things, that creates digital power. If you take the ASICs away, it's not digital power, it's power, it's analog power. But analog power, as we pointed out, isn't that impressive, right? I mean, would you rather have the power of a rifle or the power of the dam? Well, you know, if the rifle's pointed at your chest, the dam doesn't do you any good, right? Right? It all comes down to a specific ability to generate a specific type of power. You could have control of every hydroelectric facility in the world. If you can't digitize the energy, it's not going to defend your cyber system. So Bitcoin is digital power. It's 350 exahash. That equates approximately to $20 billion worth of computer equipment that has been purchased that's running on the network, something like 10 to 20, probably 20 billion of capital investment on the compute side. And then you can value the energy, you know, at various levels, right? If it's 5 cents a kilowatt hour, you're getting to $6 billion a year. At 10 cents a kilowatt hour, you're getting to $10 billion a year of electricity. That's what it takes to run the network now. But that's not what it takes to attack the network.
At its core, Bitcoin is more than just a
6,000 miles of the
cryptocurrency.
Pacific Ocean.
It is the most secure
with a
digital
tundra to
power
the
network
north
ever created.
and with a
Its
desert
hash rate
to
of
the
350 exahash
And
translates into
that meant
$20
that you
billion
could have an army
worth of specialized computing equipment,
250,000
backed by
men,
billions of
you
dollars
know,
in energy
fully
investments
armed
annually.
in France.
Together, these
You're not gonna be
elements
able to
create a
deliver
cryptographic
more
defense
than
system
5%
that is
of
unmatched
that
in
force to
resilience
the
and
US.
reliability.
It's going to take you
Unlike
3
centralized
months,
systems,
and then
which
they're
often
probably gonna
depend on the
starve to death,
trustworthiness of
you know,
individuals
as they
or
try to live off the
institutions,
land.
Bitcoin's security
and a
is
third of them are gonna die of
decentralized and
disease.
incorruptible.
And so
No
the
single point of
ability
failure
for
exists,
you to punch
and no
is,
human decision-making
you know,
can
you're-
compromise its
you're
integrity.
ameliorated,
To attack
your force is
Bitcoin would
attenuated
require
by a
not
factor
just
of
an
50
astronomical
when you're
financial
trying to
investment,
work
but
from
also
that
the
distance,
coordination of resources
right?
and infrastructure at a
the
global
deciding
scale,
battles
an effort so
on the American
monumental
frontier
that
were
it
fought
borders
by
on the
2,500
impossible.
people.
Analog energy,
10,
no matter how
800,
vast,
you know,
cannot challenge
thousands,
Bitcoin's
tens of
digital
thousands,
power.
right?
Without the
And
ability
so
to channel that energy
America
into the
always
precise
had the
computational
luxury
processes
in
required by
World War I,
Bitcoin's
World
network,
War II,
it
et
becomes
cetera, of
irrelevant.
being able to manufacture
This is why
infinite
Bitcoin stands
munitions,
alone as the
shuffle
most
everything
secure
around and
system
ship
in
it somewhere
existence,
else and then drop
a
the bombs on
fortress
somebody
of
else.
digital power that
And in
safeguards
Poland, they
not
never
just
had that
transactions, but the
luxury,
very
you know,
principles
in
of
Russia, they didn't have that
decentralization and freedom.
luxury.